We are already establishing a pretty good lead on this series for Frost Nova. Tenric, what wasn't quite decisive, but definitely pretty definitive round, 2 rounds there actually, scoring Frost Nova a win in our first map, which is going to take us to Gibraltar.
Absolutely. I think Shrine definitely displayed a little more of Frost's win that they get to have in the records over Lux for sure. I think that the Echo versus Pharah matchup was definitely a little bit too skewed for my liking. I would have loved to see a lot more contesting in the air and just a better, overall, a better reapproach from Lux Nova. That's where they really seemed to stumble, which I would love to see them improve on, especially on a map that heavily relies on reapproaches like Gibraltar.
Yeah, and I mean all the dive that we were seeing on Nepal, I think it's just a sneak peek of what we're going to be seeing on Gibraltar. You're not going to see a Reinhardt run on first point, watch point Gibraltar. I'm not certain of it, but you might see the double shield Bastion creep out, but that's not quite as fun. We want to see more of the dive. We want to see these hefty engages into the mid lines of each of these squads and see what their response looks like from it. I agree with you, Tenrek. It seemed like Shrine was a really good indicator of Frost Nova's strengths and the things that they're comfortable on. But you're right, we were missing a little bit of that dog fighting that you would have seen between Echoes and Pharah. So we might see that change a little bit as we head into Watch Point Gibraltar, but my expectations aren't too great in that regard. I'm still thinking that we're going to see a lot of the Echo Pharah matchup because the Moira Lucio was working well enough for Frost.
If there's one thing I think will be very consistent, I think it's going to be Scarrow's Reaper. I think that he's still absolutely going to tear things up, especially as the map goes inside for point B. I think that both the Pharah and Echo potential picks are going to have a lot of trouble when they get inside, and I think Scarrow's going to thrive until either side really tries to figure out what to do. I think my biggest concern is where Stafftron is going to end up. They may, stay on the Tracer or the Sombra. They may go for something a little more out there. But either way, they need to connect more, and they need to get their ultimates especially more quickly, whether it's a Pulse Bomb or especially an EMP or something of the like. I think they just definitely need to have more commitment in their fights and just get more connection out of when they can.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that actually a good start in that direction might be having Juggle God on the Winston here. Gonna get that Primal Rage pretty quickly, especially being pocketed, if you will, getting the triple packs, as I like to do when I play Brigitte onto my dive tanks, so that they can just stay in the fight as long as possible, and that's exactly what Tanky Tank and Juggle God are gonna opt for here. Just generating as much ultimate charge in these early engagements as possible. But Tenrek, look at this. A Xeno.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. And look at this Scarrow on the Symmetra. You called out a Reaper, but I'm almost more afraid of this pick.
Oh, I would be terrified if I was from. No. Okay, a Xeno is not far. It's fine. Scarrow is still Symmetra, and I'm really excited to see what this accomplishes. Well, we'll see an automatic TP around that side, so a Xeno can get a very interesting vantage point out the gate to the point where Stafftron can't really counter him automatically. A Xeno may have to rotate a little bit ineffectively here in order to engage a push here. Ryuka Sim gonna try and counter it, but gets doubled down on by Florida.
That was a really nice peel actually coming out from the D.Va player here for Frost Nova. They didn't get quite as much ult off of it, and they did lose some of that armor HP, so we're going to see them kind of reconnect to the objective. Tanky Tank goes in. Browns fan is there to dissuade them, say, no, don't come up here quite yet. A little bit of an awkward dive there from both tanks, kind of reconnect to the high ground one after the other, and now the cart is passing through the valley, which is really where the first team fight is going to break out.
This slow and steady push through the cave can be a fatal one, and Mugly Wumps is the first to go down. That may not appear very impactful in the short run, especially because of that respawn advantage, but like we talked about, Jungle God is relying on that extra armor so heavily so many of these early fights to the point where engagement is so crucial, especially in this cave. They're gonna have to stall for so much longer and be way more patient, and it's coming to the point where Jungle God is gonna get nanoed actually early from Hound.
Yeah, they engage onto Cappadozer's Ana as well, thwart them into the Mega Pack, and get slipped in the process! Cappadozer is able to just get the Mega health back and then walk away from Juggle God. Says, pay no mind to this main tank here. In the process, Stafftron using the Tactical Visor, securing both of the tanks for Frost Nova, which is really huge. It's going to slow down the entire push, considering how much time was lost on the side of Juggle God's Nano Boost and not quite getting the value. Scarrow still on this off angle, though, drops the Pulse Bomb, doesn't quite connect, but in the meantime, Cappadozer is the one coming up with the picks, finding Mugly Wumps out of the fight.
Yeah, all the while we've seen this damage come out from Lux Nova. It's Frost Nova that's still winning out the fight and getting the payload nearly to the edge of point A here. Recontested once again by both sides, and Scarrow I already see doing so much more damage on the Tracer than we saw Staftron attempt to do last round. But either way, both Winston's on point right now. DPS is trying to rotate around effectively. Blazing Angel up there in the sky is trying to get some extra damage in there. Will succeed. Muggly Wumps is going to take out a Xeno, but it doesn't matter. Frost is going to get enough picks to get the job done and get the payload through point A. And now I think this is the point where Xeno and Ryuka Sim are going to struggle a little bit.
A little bit, and Xeno actually gets brought back into this fight off the revive from Blazing Angel, so they're going to be looking to use this barrage as a potential win condition as we embark into this next team fight. But you are playing some ultimates on the side of Lux Nova as well. Ryuka Sim is going to have the duplicate. Florida is going to make a great duplicate target as well to DM that barrage and also just dish out the damage, drop the bomb. There's the Primal Rage coming out from Juggle God, and it's going to be enough to dominate the space on this rocket before they invariably get taken out by a Xeno's barrage. That's a nasty solo barrage there. Now Xeno trying to brawl it out in the skies against Ryuka Sim. Isn't quite able to land those rockets though until Ryuka Sim connects to the ground, and now it's just zoning here on the side of Xeno and Blazing Angel.
Lux is asking Frost to be fearless, specifically Xeno, and Xeno is saying, okay, yeah, sure, I can be fearless. I think it favors Frost way more to engage in a fight first, payload later mindset rather than Lux. I think Lux does nothing but suffer when they're in that situation, especially on B point, and we see 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. Frost has already gotten this payload to the next point, and they did it in one fluid fight, you could argue.
Yeah, that really was only... I don't know if you would even make an argument for it to be one team fight. It was so all over the place.
It was like a couple scrappy tussles.
Yeah, no, and you're hemorrhaging manpower the entire time as well. If you're Lux Nova, losing Juggle God early, now on the Reinhardt, where this is a good point for Reinhardt as well, but against the Pharmacy and Browns fan leaping into the mid lines of Lux Nova, I'm curious about how much value it's going to get. Muggly Wumps on the Lucio is also a good change to help enable Juggle God here on the Reinhardt, but the Fire Strikes aren't connecting. He's not close enough to swing the hammer, and Florida's going to have that bomb soon enough. Here's the engagement from the dive tanks for Frost Nova coming out really quick.
Ryuka Sim's also switched to the Ash to try and get a little more connection on this absolutely dominating Xeno, but you gotta also take care of Blazing Angel, who is in Valkyrie mode right now. That's so much more ground that's automatically covered by this, thanks to all of the ultimates that get to be used now. Barrage, Primal Rage, Tankity Tank tries to get some damage, and we'll take care of both the Pharah and the Mercy. That's absolutely massive for the push. Florida trying to get cut back by the supports of all people right now, and Tankity Tank will finally get struck down. Cabo Dozer uses the Nano for Frost. At the moment, the last ult that they have in stock. Meanwhile, still only a window available on the side of Lux. They don't get to use it, though, as Hound gets taken down by a still dominant Scarrow. Another pick on a Juggle God. Finally gets cut down by Muggly Wumps, but the res is still available. Blazing Angel doesn't get taken out in time. Scarrow already has that pulse spot back after downing Staftron. Absolutely melted. Goes right for the spawn doors. Let's carry through the remake from Florida, too. Almost always on the door. It's only Juggle God left back on the ball. Gets cut down immediately too. These guys are coming out and immediately going back down. 2:52 left in the time bank for Frost. And Lux has a lot of ground and time they need to make up here.
That's so frustrating here if you're Lux Nova, just constantly having to yield not only space, but eliminations as well, sacrificing tanks like Juggle God and Tankity Tank in the interest of securing a couple of eliminations that either get back from spawn really quickly or get revived back into the fight. It's just absolutely arduous endeavor that they took up here on the defense, but they don't have a choice. They have to win this. They have to even up the series and start swinging momentum in their favor. And honestly, Tenrek, I'm looking at this and I'm curious about whether it has to be in the form of a compositional swap or enabling one player in particular, playing closer together. There's myriad issues, I think, here plaguing Lux Nova that it's difficult to tackle all of those issues at once. They're definitely at a disadvantage here, but they're not done yet. I look at Escort as a very straightforward endeavor. All you got to do is push from one side of the map to the other, right? And if anyone's going to be capable of doing that, I think it should be Lux, especially confronted with this adversity that they have to be ready to overcome.
I think the main thing that Lux needs to do is they just need to stop dying. Yeah. All sarcasm aside, Frost has gotten so much more mileage out of a single pick, especially early in those engagements, than Lux has ever gotten in any of these fights. I think Lux needs to stall out the members of their team so much more effectively than Frost in order to have a shot at winning a single map here, because otherwise Frost is going to keep doubling down, keep capitalizing greater upon these picks than Lux ever could. And already there's the D-Mech onto Tankity Tank and the down to boot there. I mean, they just got sandwiched so easily because Brownsfan Jr. was lying in wait right there and asleep too!
What?
Onto Scarrow from Ryuka Sim there. That was great there from Hound. Let's see if we can get more of that. Lux?
That was, I almost lost track of who was who there, because that was just, that was a fantastic sleep onto Scarrow, deep in the mid lines of Lux. Unfortunately, however, also deep in the mid lines is Juggle God, and they end up getting punished here by Frost Nova. That's going to delay the push, I think. We're going to see a kind of tentative back off here from Lux, and probably a delayed re-engagement onto the cart. Now, I say that Ryuka Sim is still looking for those picks. Stafftron actually does get Blazing Angel, so there's the revive that you and I were talking about. That's gone out of the fight, and Juggle God is ready to engage on the high ground. Does manage to tether onto Scarrow, proc the recall. Oh, did they proc the recall?
I think they did. Yeah, they just popped it when they went back down to the low ground to be able to get out of the way. I don't necessarily think to get out of the fight with Juggle God. I think to just get back to their team faster, because all this time Lux has been moving the payload under point, and the tunnel fight's non-existent. It's really just a fight on A site, which honestly I think Frost can still handle. Winston's battling it out, but one has a pocket and one doesn't. Brownsfan Jr. has to re-rotate back over to the side, and Combo Dozer finally goes down this time to Ryuka Sim, but that Pharah is still flying high. Don't count out a Xeno yet. Hound goes down. Scarrow, both the DPS for Frost Esports, still getting stuff done despite the fact that half of their team is gone, including both tanks right now. Brownsfan Jr. is still on the way. Tankity Tank is out of the mech, and a Xeno finally gets taken down. The res was used onto Florida, so no res available for a Xeno yet, but everybody's back already. Blazing Angel is activated, the Valkyrie, and Scarrow is still wreaking havoc right now, and Frost, again, on that A site, rather than at the tunnel, delay the push once again.
There's nothing quite like being a DPS player or a support player if you're Han being taken out by a Valking Mercy, pulling out the Glock and launching the projectiles, the homing missiles that she does. Ultimately, Blazing Angel is taken out of the fight by Juggle God, which is a really good pick. Again, absent of that revive, that puts Lux at an advantage. The bomb is going to be deployed on the objective as well as the bomb. That's a lot of zoning being accomplished here, but not a lot of picks. In fact, the picks are going the way of Frost Nova. Xeno picking out both of the tanks here for Lux, which is absolutely brutal. Brownsfan also has the Primal Rage to contest the objective with, and actually he's going to take that onto the supports here of Lux. They're going to be cornered into the backlines, and look at Mugly Wumps and Han both eliminated there. Mugly is 85% to the rally. Hasn't built the first one yet, Tenrek.
Look, I'm a big enthusiast for clearing the board, but Lux was so backed up and so scattered that even with a Bob, even with a self-destruct, even with the members of Frost kind of not at all on the payload, Lux still couldn't capitalize in time. 3 members were still backed up on the high ground at the tunnel before the self-destruct even happened, and even after. And the Bob was basically completely taken out by the time they even could get on site. But oops, no, they couldn't, because the rest of the members were there for the kill. Clearing the board did the exact opposite of what Lux wanted to do, and a Xeno. Are you kidding me right now? Stafftron, good pulse bomb there on the Combo Dozer, and Blazing Angel goes down too. Both the Frost supports are down right now. That leaves a lot of room for Lux to carry this last fight out in spades. 20 seconds remaining, still a couple members to get taken out here, but Ryuka Sim is on that high ground and might actually be able to get some more damage done than he had hoped these past couple fights. He just has to land these shots, and the pulse bomb just barely avoids it. Lux is gonna get a little bit of ground here, but the rest of Frost is back once again with a Valk to boot. Scarrow on a sliver of health right now, but it doesn't really matter when you have a whole slew of Frost behind you. Juggle God has that Primal Rage ready, and Tankity Tank is ready for the backup. Still a lot of health to spare on this payload to get these last 4 meters out. Res is already used, and Azita goes down too. That's a lot of the damage from Frost this time.
Oh no.
Ryuka Sim will go down though. Brownsfan Jr. is still wreaking some havoc, and that Primal Rage is already here. So is the self-destruct. Both go down simultaneously. Bubble goes down, not in time. No, the self-destruct won't get any kills, and neither will a remake. Primal Rage still carrying on. OT hasn't started ticking down yet. It's still being contested. Tankity Tank has a self-destruct this time, but is waiting for the bubble to go down from Brownsfan Jr. There's the self-destruct, but Azino and Florida have already got the job done, and Frost will take map 2.
That is such a comfortable lead that Frost has established for themselves in this series. They've effectively put us into match point territory. Now here's Tankity Tank's play of the game. I think I might know what this is. Oh no, I don't know what this is. I thought it would be the nano boost on the attack of first objective, which, I mean, that's so unfortunate. Okay, it was That's the second time I think Tankity Tank took a Xeno out of the air with while being demacked. That's a little less conventional. Worked out for them in some instances, but it didn't work out for the team as a whole. As you mentioned, there were some delays between the engagements of the tanks and the readiness of the supports here, and that ended up really hurting Lux in their endeavor to even capture that first objective. Really unfortunate as well is that they didn't capture first objective, because you're working with that overtime bank as you're beginning. If you're mere less than a meter from capturing that first point, and honestly, the only thing that matters then is just getting the objective and then moving the cart. You can still win escort maps at a time bank disadvantage, different from our assault style maps, but it just doesn't end up working out here for Lux Nova. They're gonna have to take it into the next map. We'll be heading into Numbani, and I don't know that Numbani favors Lux Nova's strengths over Frost Nova's strengths.
I think the really sad part about that last fight was that Lux, I mean, they tried to clear the board the fight before to get the payload on. They didn't have the resources available to do so again. I mean, there's so much to talk about with Frost that entire round. First, I didn't even get to talk about this. On attack, how did they get so much damage into that spawn door? I am at a loss for words at how much damage went through that door from just Scarrow in Florida alone. They didn't even really need a Xeno there. And I think it was Lux that had the window. It wasn't Frost that had the window. It was Lux that did. Yeah, how on BAP had the window. I am enthralled with how much damage that Frost is, how consistent their aim is. It's absolutely. But I think I think the biggest thing was that Lux just didn't use the resources properly, and Frost was again able to capitalize on a pick so much more than Lux was. And when Frost was down to maybe 1 or 2 people, it was all about staying alive, especially on that last 8-point fight that Lux was struggling with. Once again, Frost was able to keep somebody alive, mainly the tanks. Florida and Bronze Fan Jr. did a great job of just avoiding all of that free fire from the members of Lux and let especially those supports come back and be able to absolutely rip the rest of Lux to shreds. And I feel like that very same thing could easily happen on Numbani.
Yeah, because as you talk about the damage that's going through, I'm also reflecting on the utility that was landing as well. You're talking about value, and we need to look no further than the supports here for Frost Nova. Blazing Angels double kill with the Valkyrie, Cappadozer's multiple Coalescence kills on our first map, as well as the Bionades, the application of the nano boosts as well onto various members of Frost Nova. The versatility that both of these supports are capable of demonstrating and then accomplishing as well. It's really something to be inspired by on the side of Frost Nova. On the side of Lux, we are at a disadvantage. We've dropped 2 maps. We have to win this next one, or else we've lost this series and also not picked up a win during the regular season of the Hyperion Invitational.
Crispy is gonna sub in for Tankity Tank here on the side of Lux, which honestly scares me more than ever, because Tankity Tank was really the only thing mitigating the damage from his Xeno. They were the only one really taking him out. Ryuka Sim just didn't get enough connection onto his Xeno. I think they got way too much damage in the sky there on that Pharah these past 2 maps, and they just haven't gotten countered enough by anyone except for Tankity. However, this time it looks like we see a lot more attention to the members of Frost, specifically those DPS. Staftron's Torbjorn gonna play an essential role here in taking out both Xeno and Scarrow. Those flankers, those flyers, might become gankers and dyers. Sorry. Bars, Memp! Chat. Bars!
Oh my goodness. And on the defense here, the double shield is perfectly viable from Lux. It's just the pushing and pulling around this objective has to be so intelligent. There's the dynamite connecting to Brown's fan. That's some nice early ultimate charge for Ryuka Sim. And that Bob is going to be really important, not just for the zoning like it did last map, but also for the damage. And that's exactly what you're looking to get out of that ultimate here. So delayed engagement off the back of the healing that Browns fan kind of needed. And then look at that, they're engaging on the coast side. Browns fan is the one to suffer for that first blood of this map, and also a DMEC onto Florida. That's really good for Lux.
That's a great quick defense there by Lux. They saw the problem and they immediately took out as much of it as they could. They did so much damage there very quickly to Bronzefan Jr. They really converged on him, I think, as quickly as Frost has been doing this whole time. I think they're taking a couple pages out of the notebook of Frost so far, and I'd love to see that continue. But there's still 3 minutes left. Frost has got a lot more chances left to attack, and I swear, Azino just scares me every time I see even their silhouette on the battlefield.
Yeah, they're peeking and poking around these areas of aerial cover as well, and it's so hard to contest them, especially with a Mercy Pocket. Scarrow is coming in clutch with the damage, finding Han, has to be brought back into the fight by Mugglywumps to revive, and we're going to see Scarrow kind of back off a little bit, really waiting for the commencement of this team fight. Azino already has the barrage. They're 95%. All it's going to take is a little bit more splash damage, but they're going to have to back up. Blazing Angel went critically low during that fight, and that's the target to focus here on the side of the DPS for Team Lux.
It's weird. Frost is still a little bit scattered here. I mean, look at Florida. He's all the way in the back right now, not really getting contested at the moment, but that may change. Crispy is taking a couple pot shots through that tunnel. I think they know that Florida is there, but they don't feel the need to contest because they know that the engagement is necessary somewhere else, particularly on Azino on the outside right now. The turret is doing a great job of just stalling a little bit, making sure that the rest of the members of Lux know, hey, this is what we need to worry about right now. Bronzefan Jr., once again, the first to go down, getting a little too greedy at this point. Ryuka Sims some connection too. Scarrow is going to go down thanks to the boost, this time from Mugglywumps, who is on that Mercy, able to give a solid, consistent boost to Ryuka Sim, which, you know, is different than what we've seen so far. Mugglywumps hasn't been playing the Mercy and hasn't been able to really boost anybody, and now Ryuka Sim may have that extra damage that they need to catch up in the ult economy. Like, we've seen them lag behind a little bit thus far. They do have this Bob now to clear this board once again, and I think that's going to be super helpful because look at all the ults that are online for Frost.
Yep. You've got the barrage, you've got the pulse bomb. That's got to stick onto Han before they have the opportunity to deploy the amplification matrix, which is going to come out any moment now. Bronzefan looking for the engagement, actually does tether onto 2 of the members of Lux. In the meantime, Ryuka is taken out of the fight by the pulse bomb. That's the stick, perhaps, for Scarrow, and Azino is there to capitalize, finding Mugglywumps. That means no bringing the hit scan back into this engagement. The bongo, the supercharger drop from Joko got as well. The amplification matrix helping them to find the elimination on Bronzefan. They're ultimately taken out of the fight, however, by engaging on the point. They just need to play a little bit more patient. Joko God, just wait. And meanwhile, Crispy has been left alone on the high ground, armed with the Gravitic Flux. They might not even get the chance to use it. Bob is going to come out to the objective, but is slept in the process. There's 3 squishies and a dynamite on the objective, and the squishies might win here as the bomb comes out into Ryuka Sim's line of sight. It actually does kill them and also gets Mugglywumps. That's so unfortunate. Joko God forced onto the Wrecking Ball. Well, actually, maybe not forced. He really likes his Wrecking Ball. Coming back to spinning to winning here on the objective, and actually lets Blazin get away with the revive. That's really unfortunate. The lamp is going to deploy, but Joko God doesn't have nearly enough HP to sustain on that fight. Gravitic Flux only lifts Kabuto's into the air, and the tether is there from Blazing Angel to keep them healthy on this objective, and now it's just damage on the side of Frost, who's so close to capturing this objective, and it looks like it's lost here for Nova, but they're still going to try and stay on it. Tracer Staftron connects and gets taken out of the fight by Blazin as the point is captured.
Whew. Great. Good job. Look, I gotta give it to Lux there. That was a great stall. That was a great job. You know, they had a nice little single file line going for a moment there. They got it to OT. Yep. Really well done. But they were just so patient with their ults. A little too patient. Jungle God's Bongo was way too late there. And the fact that Bronzefan Jr., Azino, Scarrow, Kabuto's, and even Blazing Angel, they could all pop their ults basically instantly the second they got on point and get so much connection out of it without fear because, I don't know, maybe they knew that Lux was going to take a little too much time with her ults. I mean, that Bob came out way too late because Ryuka Sim was coming in alone onto point that Frost had basically already captured and then immediately got slept because there was no blockage available. And now look at all this extra ground that Frost gets and the ult economy. Look at this cycling. 4 ults already available. No, 5. That Valk is up for Blazing. Now, Primal Rage and Barrage already out. Han is going to get taken down. Look how far up they are right now. 2 already gone from those 2 mini ults right there. It's still Staftron trying to stall. We'll get a pick there, and Mugglywumps will get to res Crispy, but it's all the way at the back. It's still going to be this last fight on point B that is the crucial one.
Oh man, at that point you don't even revive anyone to so that we can re-engage onto the objective. We actually just revive so that they don't get staggered, but that's not the message that's being sent here by Lux. The minefield is going to drop from Juggle, and that means it's time to engage on this point, but you are still playing into a Nano Boost and the Valkyrie from the supports for Frost. In fact, the Nano is going to come out onto Browns Fan, boot back by the Coach Gun. That was a really good use of that ability to put some distance between Browns Fan and the rest, and Bob is going to go onto the objective to help compensate for Juggle God's absence here, but Azino is still on this high ground, still needs to be dealt with, and they're still securing picks. Crispy is eliminated and Juggle God is brought back, but they're going to be able to stall for so long. In the meantime, Azino has found Ryuka Sim, so they are free to fly around wherever they want, uncontested, as Juggle God, all they can do is swing on this point.
Notice how Cabodozer slept the Bob from Ryuka Sim again?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is stopping him right now. Look, he's still in the back. He's still alive. He's still able to heal and doing damage. He's so low, but Azino is trying to mitigate all the damage and is successful right now. Juggle God is still trying to spin a wing here. Only 10 seconds left for Frost Esports to try and stay alive, but Lux is doing, again, a pretty great job of stalling for a solid amount of time. Both tanks are back online, but Lux gets completely stopped this time from Crispy, who's back on as that Diva. Gets another one. Rez will successfully go on to Azino, but Blaze Angel falls in the process. Diva self-destruct goes up. Crispy gets 2 floored, and Scaro go down. Ryuka has to get revived here, but Crispy is down already once again. Azino is back down to Minefield again from Juggle God. That was farmed perfectly. Nice pick on Cabodozer too, and OT will finally tick down. I don't think Browns Fan gets there in time. No, he doesn't. And for once, a non-full push. Frost Esports, nearly 2 points taken. Lux does not have to panic as much, but I mean, this is still the verge of losing a match 3-0.
Yeah, and that's not something that you want for Team Lux. You at least want to pick up one map, or again, you know, maybe ideally swing this series in your favor, pick up that first win in the regular at the end of the regular season, albeit. That was a really good hold though. But we also know in all of our experience playing Overwatch how easy it is to get stymied or to stymie or get stymied on the streets phase of any escort map. So, you know, as Frost goes on the defense, I'm curious about where the stonewalling is really going to be erected here for the defenders. It could be on the first objective. We've seen them hold really well on Gibraltar. We saw them dominate all of the space on Nepal. So I just... Is the map going to be monopolized in the same way as it was these other 2 maps that we played so far, especially with Azino still... Again, kind of uncontested here. Ryuka's doing as much as they can, but I think Stafftron is definitely not in all of the places that they need to be at all the right times. So that's a part of the correction that we're looking to see as Lux goes on the attack.
I think Lux, no matter how you spin it, they have to play different, because that sort of single file stall tactic doesn't work, first of all, on attack at all, and second of all, on the long form point that is point A on Nimbani. I think Crispy is still doing a pretty good job of stopping the damage from the Far Mercy. Ryuka Sim, though, on this Pharah, on with a Mercy of his own. Mugglywumps on the boost. That's 2 down, 3 down. Azino goes down 2. Ryuka Sim, what are you doing? Where was this the whole time? The rest of the members of Frost already have to retreat. Bubble goes down. I don't think everybody can stay in it, though. Cabodozer's down 2. D-Mac on the floor, and they used so many resources, but it was just Ryuka Sim that had to shoot and fly, and everyone died. 549 as the first point is already taken. Oh, Frost is quivering in their boots. Ooh, Frost is quivering in their boots.
A little bit, especially if Ryuka Sims is able to land these direct rockets like they were early in that first team fight. We didn't even need to look at the objective. It was being captured that entire time, and really the star of the show here is Ryuka Sim just dominating the skies and making sure that Azino has no opportunity to contest them. Here's Sideshow's I think it's Grammy award-winning song, Why Is the Tracer on the Payload? But Stafftron has to be there because the rest of the team is needed on these front lines. You can't have Mugglywumps on the cart moving that, and Han has to be present for these tanks. Unfortunately, Ryuka Sim dies, and it looks like Mugglywumps might get caught out as well. Scare on this high ground on the Soldier is going to be still pretty dangerous, and this might slow down Lux just a little bit.
Scaro's aim is captivating. I don't even care that he's like underperforming on this map a little bit. Like I mean, I love watching how he aims, even with this Soldier, but Tracer I think is where he shined with that aiming. But Stafftron is taking up that mantle on the other side. Juggle God really aggressive
Oh,
push
no.
there on the attack. I don't think that's gonna work, buddy. Come on, what are you doing? Ryuka Sim, though, is gonna pick up the slack and take down Browns Fan Jr. No, this payload is kind of stopped, but at the same time, I mean, Lux kind of has all the space in the world. Great self-destruct. Will find a Xeno. Can Blazing Angel find him in time? Yes, but gets picked up in the process. And Staftron, there's that pulse bomb. There's that tracer value we were waiting for. And Crispy once again picking up all of the members working so cohesively. This is such a different Lux I'm seeing right now.
This is a really handsome Lux that we're seeing right now.
Yeah,
They're going to be able to push, and it looks like uninhibited as well. Juggle got blocking Browns Fan from even connecting onto the objective. The leap had gone out, but the connection was not there to be made. Severed from that 3-0, Lux has, Frost has dropped Numbani and will be going, thankfully, into a map 4.
Man, we were talking about a Xeno these past 2 maps, so, like, heavily favoring him. And then Ryuka Sim goes on Pharaoh once. Not even Echo, because they were on Echo previously. They go on Pharaoh once. Gotta say, they say to Mugly, hey, can you boost me? Mugly's like, all right. And then they just destroy the entire attack. I don't know how they did it. I don't know why they didn't do it before. But I mean, that's another map, I guess, for the side of Lux. One that I'm sure they will cherish. As it is their 3rd one that they've ever won that they get to add to their record for the season.
I mean, that's a good map. No matter if you win this series, advance to the playoffs, get that #1 seed, walk home with the trophy, that was a good map for Lux, and a really good look from them, like you had mentioned as well. And Ryuka Sim's definitely falling into place as just a really reliable source of damage that we haven't gotten to see from the rest of these maps, just because of the discrepancies that exist in the other areas that, again, needed a little bit of improvement. We saw how just a little bit of a change, a little bit of a different look can really positively impact any of these team members in big ways. So there's Ryuka Sim's time to shine. It's time to get some recognition here on the side of Crispy and Juggle God and the supports for this squad as well. I'm excited as we head into Havana what the new look is going to be. I'm sorry, I said Havana, Hanamura.
Same
done with Escort. Yeah, it's the same place, right?
It's the same kind of map. They're places that you go to play Overwatch. That's why they're the same. Yeah. I think Lux is gonna thrive on Hanamura, really. Especially, I think Ryuka Sim, if they carry themselves like they did on Umbani Attack there, I think they'll do just fine. Yeah, I mean, at least on A point. B point, they may have to switch things up. I think that's when Staftron is going to have to step up and maybe play some Tracer, some Sombra really well. But until then, I think they can rest a little easy here. But that being said, it's still one more map that Frost has to take to win this match.
Yeah, we're still in match point territory, right? So all you need is just one well-played control point map. And I mean, I actually do personally prefer control point over. Assault over control point. I prefer 2CP over. I'm not a fan of King of the Hill. It's too deathmatchy for me. But this assault is so strategic. It's on the opposite end of the spectrum from control point in terms of the way it's supposed to be played, and because of that, it just ends up being incredibly unreliable as far as the expectations that we'd set for ourselves when entering a map like Hanamura, Volskaya, Anubis, or God forbid, Paris. So as we head into this match, my expectations, they simply are not. I'm eager to see Juggle God's Wrecking Ball get a ton of value, although I'm going to be disappointed because it looks like Juggle God is stepping out, and Tankity Tank and Crispy are going to be taking up the mantle of responsibility here on the front lines for Lux Nova.
Both Tankity Tank and Crispy have done a great job playing Diva thus far, so I'm wondering who's going to end up taking that torch and carrying it through. And on the flip side, who's going to play, who's going to be played by the other member of here for tanks? I'm very intrigued. I'm more intrigued though, I think, on the DPS comps for defense. I think we've already seen a really deep pull thus far. Xeno, Scaro, Staftron, and Ryuka Sim have all proven to be proficient on several DPS characters. We've seen Pharaoh, we've seen Echo, we've seen Sombra, Tracer, Reaper. Who else? Sim,
Soldier as well.
Soldier as well. We've seen a lot so far, and I think we've also seen, and this is what I was thinking of, is Torbjorn. I think Torbjorn is going to be a great pick on defense against both of these teams. regardless of whether or not you have Juggle God on your side or not, I think you need to be terrified of Torbjorn on Hanamura defense if you're running with the teams that we're seeing right now. I think Frost's flyers and runners in the form of a Xeno and Scarrow, I think they're going to be terrified once again of that Torb turret. They're going to need to take it way slower, and we saw that weakness on Numbani, where that push was very slowed down, and they ended up losing that map because they didn't get all the way to point C. But on the flip side, I think that Tankety Tank and Crispy are going to have to spend so many of their resources, regardless of who they play, on stopping that Torbjorn damage. So I think we might potentially see a Torbjorn on either side.
It's ultimately down. I mean, so many great points that you brought up. Ultimately, we can kind of summarize that into it's whichever team lets the other one play the game at the pace they're looking to set is the team that loses. And that's why Numbani worked so well for Lux Nova is, like you mentioned, the Torb turret totally slowed down the impending attack from Frost Nova. It took so long just to secure some presence on that objective, and then so many resources just to capture that as well. And then you have the uninhibited aggression demonstrated by Frost on the previous two maps that just went uncontested by Lux. And so again, those corrections are being made by both these teams, and that's the fun thing about this kind of competitive Overwatch. It's not like solo queue. I don't know how much solo queue you play, Tenrek. Probably as unbearable an amount as me.
All solo queue.
Okay, yeah, okay. So players don't learn. They don't learn in solo queue. Yeah, in the base competitive game mode. But here, where you are forced into situations where you have to make adaptations to your strategies, players learn. And that I think that's the beautiful thing that we're getting to see from Lux Nova. I'm hoping that we get to see even more of it coming into Hanamura.
You know, there's this philosophy that I try to maintain whenever, especially when I cast a game, because I feel it makes me such a better observer, is the second a team stops playing their game, they start losing. If you play by the other team's rules, then you're not adapting, and you're also just you're staying in your same spot, and you're letting the other team take over. The second you start to play by your own rules, the second you start playing your game, the second you start winning. And I think that's what happened when Lux decided to flip the switch on Numbani. They took the Torbjorn and the Pharah for Ryukasim, and they said, screw it, we're gonna play our own game. And it worked swimmingly. I'd love to see that happen again for Lux. But at the same time, I'd love to see Frost take this back again and get us out of here, because I need to pee.
And you know, if we do end up with a win here on this map for Lux Nova, that urge is just gonna get even stronger.
What's gonna happen?
But as well, the level of intensity between both these teams is gonna reach the nth degree, and you mentioned kind of each team playing their own game. I think there's a difference between playing your version of Overwatch and running a Junkrat into Pharah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Staftron, are we chill? Are we good right now, or are we just like testing the waters here? I guess we'll find out here. Staftron gonna lob a couple nades in here. Ryukasim trying to get a cheeky pick there on the Widow initially. Will switch off to the Pharah himself. Staftron immediately getting bio-naded too. Has to take a quick little journey around the other side. Interesting concussion nade there. That's a sick rollout that I'm gonna use next time I play Hanamura. Hopefully that's never.
I mean, know how that works out for you.
It got no connection, but like even so, it was cool to watch. So like, I appreciate it. Thank you, Staftron. A bit of a slower push this time for Lux, and I think it's the same. It's the same pace that we're taking it. It's a slow rotation. They end up getting the high ground, but again, I don't think they're gonna have as much luck with the fight here. Ryukasim, another great pick, not getting contested enough here. Blazing Angel has to use the res on Kabodozer here. Florida already getting taken down, and actually, look at this. Frost is already getting backed up into their point way too early, in my opinion. The Farmers are getting heavily aggressed from Ryukasim here, but there's no boost available just yet. Muggly Wumps on a sliver of health right now, and Ryuka desperately trying to find that pick. There it is on a Scarrow. Nice direct hit to finish things off. And again, uncontested. Nobody's paying enough attention to Ryukasim right now. They're all looking the other way. Kabodozer down, and although there is a shadow from Brown's fan, it doesn't matter when he's looking the wrong way. And just like that, Lux is just about taking the point already.
You have to make that critical decision, and it's so hard, is where do we delegate our resources to? And Azino says, give me the resources. I'll get Ryuka out of the fight and maybe possibly swing this with a barrage, but no, it ends up getting shut down, and the revive was attempted by Blazing Angel, but they aren't able to carry through there, and that's an offensive ultimate, a powerful ultimate as well. Out of the bank here for Frost Nova as they mount the defense on the second objective, yielding this first one with 5 minutes and 12 seconds in the time bank. That's really comfortable for me, Tenrek, if I'm playing here for Lux Nova. What's more comfortable is having Window, Supercharger, Flux soon, and then Pulse Bomb and Barrage, while we're only working with support ultimates and possibly a Bomb and a High Noon on the side of Frost Nova.
I'm still just a bit stunned as to why Azino played the way he did, and to that effect, Blazing Angel also, all he had to do was peek around the wall. Nice Deadeye there from Scarrow to start the defense off, and the Far Mercy just like that is immediately eliminated. Stafftron, solid Pulse Bomb, but it gets reversed right away, and I think Lux is just gonna wait this out momentarily, but again, that gives a little bit more time for Frost to farm up some more ults here.
Yeah, because all it does is take a little bit of poking. You can afford to take an aggressive angle when you're playing on the defense, and you've got health packs to play around and tanks who are ready to peel for you, like Florida has been so attentive for this entire series, and as well as during this whole time, if you take damage, then you've got support ults being built up. Speaking of support ults, there's the amplification matrix that's used by Tankity Tank to find a Xeno out of the fight. Scarrow does get Stafftron, however, but Florida's out of mech, and the revive was spent on a Xeno, bringing them back in. They don't have, they aren't close enough to that barrage quite yet. Ryuko Sim brawling it out on the objective, very, very close to the ground here, and dangerously close to Browns fans' hammer as they've been nano boosted. It looks like Kabadozer even took a slice of those eliminations there.
I think the thing about that peak with the Window plus the Bongo is you have to know that you have free reign. And Lux did not have free reign there. I think Frost was still way too scattered. They still had control over that high ground, which is super dangerous, even against a shielded, bongoed, windowed Lux squad. I think that they had to control the ground a little more first before they could go buck wild with that combination. Now, that's going to lead to such a heavy disadvantage, and within 2 fights, Frost has already reclaimed that ult advantage.
There's still 3 minutes here remaining, however, for Lux. The shield went up from Tankity Tank, but is immediately deleted here, and the bomb is being cast out onto the high ground, and ultimately, it gets walled off and shielded by Crispy as well. It's going to thwart Browns fan off of this position, and that's actually a nice advantage that Lux is now working with. So really no important resources out, but the positions have been all sacrificed on the side of the defense.
Again, they have that ground. I think Florida was hoping either the board would be more cleared or there might actually be some connection. And oh man, that's such a sad sight to see with that shatter. But a Xeno picking up the pieces. There's 3 that go down, going around the other side. There goes Han and Mugly Wumps, the last 2 remaining members.
HP.
Xeno will go down to it though. Mugly Wumps falls. I don't know why, but
it's got to be a reset. I'm sure it's a reset. But, you know, I would have gone down in a blaze of glory. This washed up Zenyatta main, I would have said, you know what, let me 1v6 them, and if it works, it works. And ultimately respawn with the rest of the team anyways, with my ultimate. And that's exactly what Mugly Wumps is looking at that fight with, is having the Valkyrie. We have another Window. Tankity Tank will have the Supercharger here as well. The drumbeat of the Bongo echoing the call to push here as Crispy uses the Kinetic Grasp, gets some nice chunk of HP off that, you know, honestly ends up disappearing anyways. And again, a little bit of a tentative engagement here. I think Lux might be playing too slow into this.
I disagree. I think the hardest part of Hanamura is how patient you have to play. It doesn't matter how you approach. It doesn't matter where you approach. I mean, you still have so much danger standing right in front of you, and we see that right here. They took so much time. They had so much space to themselves, and yet all Frost had to do was walk in their general direction, and they stopped probably like, they stopped the Valkyrie, and then they were able to just nano a character, and they had the whole ground to themselves. That's all they had to do. This point beyond Hanamura is so difficult. Lux wasted 50 seconds on that one small sliver of a fight, and now all they have left, Ryuka-san, watch out, buddy. All they have left is these 5 ults and probably this one fight.
It's here that I'm wondering if we need a change in pathing, right? The definition of insanity being trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result each time. Do you just run it down main with all of these ultimates, despite the fact that you're playing into a plethora of resources yourself? And that's a challenging question that Lux has to answer, and they're going to opt for possibly the wrong one, going here on this high ground. Oh, look at that lamp. It's so good, but the Shatter was there preventing the follow-up against Xeno's barrage, and he's going to be rewarded with 3 eliminations before taken out of the fight by Blizzard. Ryuka has connected the objective, finds the teammate on the floor. This actually might be swingable here, but the revive has come in from Blazing Angel. Brownsphere is back, swinging on the high ground, eliminates Snaptron, and by now there's no one for Lux remaining. 15 seconds in the bank.
It wasn't even that Lux was making bad decisions there. They just couldn't use their ults in the right manner. And on the point of being able to push through the main, I think with the tanks that you have, it's way more dangerous to push in front here. And we'll see them attempt that here with the bongo right on point. Valkyrie immediately comes out here from Blaze and Angel, boosting whoever they need to, really. Lux is making such a scattershot approach here onto the front side, and it's splitting a lot of Frost in half, but at the same time, so many resources still available. The Nano and the Valk available, and self-destruct too, there it is. Browns Fan Jr. is hacked, so it won't stop any of the damage coming on, but Xeno and Cabadozer have everything locked down. Look at the way they managed this point. All they had to do was converge one set time, and OT is going to tick down without a hitch.
That's no objective progress here for the attackers. For Lux, it's very losable. If you full hold the first objective, then that's awesome. That's what you want. But if you don't, then you force yourself into a position where you can only draw this map. And I won't complain about extending the duration of this series, but for Lux, as your endurance and your focus begins to wear thin, you put yourself on a really dangerous edge here that honestly they look like they're right about to drop off of.
One single point and then one tick away from breaking even in their records. Frost is on the cusp of bringing this out and stopping the reverse sweep from happening. I know it's kind of satisfying to do that, so I think Frost is going to have a pretty big joyride with this initial push. They're going to try and have some fun with it, no doubt. Xeno sticking on that Pharah. Scarrow going back to that McCree, which stuck so well on point B on that defense for sure. The Deadeyes were getting farmed very quickly, and really, it's just the presence of a Cowboy that really has your offensive team in Hanamura kind of shivering a little bit.
Little bit, and this is where you kind of have to ask the question as far as which team really has the mettle to win this series. Do you want to be the team that says we won at least one of our games during the regular season, or do you want to be the team that says we prevented the A team from winning a single game during the regular season? So armed with that kind of motivation, I see good things happening here for Lux as they take the offensive here, and this choke shield's pretty far away from the actual front line here for the defending Lux, and that doesn't give Ryuka too much space to work with, but that's not going to stop them. They're going to push in, and with the damage behind them in the form of Staftron's turret, as well as Mugly Wumps with the damage amp, they're going to be looking pretty good to do a little bit of early damage, as well as cut off the, well, at least separate the front lines here for Frost.
Yeah, it's that ever-present damage from Staftron's Torbjorn. We mentioned that Torbjorn on defense would probably be a great tool utilized against one of these sides, and we see that Xeno is kind of at a loss here for the moment. The tanks are kind of doing what they want right now, but Xeno is unable to really get anything done, and Ryuka Sim kind of has free reign for the moment over the front side that is no longer shielded by the tanks who are making that slow but sure push up that other side. Staftron is also there to do some damage. There's the DPS boosted once again by Mugly Wumps trying to stop that. Barrage is already up for Ryuka Sim simply by existing defending point A right now. Browns Fan and Florida still making their way around that side point. Cabadozer is also with them, I believe, right now. Waiting for that shield to come back, no doubt. Ryuka Sim ready with that. Oh
that's a nice
God,
pick.
That's so nasty. That's so bad for Frost. That's gonna be so much time wasted, especially if this push goes awry, which with Cabadozer gone, I think it definitely will. Barrage is ready on the side here. Florida trying to get this pick off of Ryuka Sim, but he just has too much space to roam free. Brownsfan already at half health, and all Staftron has to do is poke him a little bit. And there goes the Rhine for the side of Frost. Lux doesn't even really have to fight this out. It's just a little bit of cleanup on the side of A point, and 2 minutes are left already for the members of Frost to do anything. This is so catastrophic.
As well, look at this. You've had plenty of time to build up ultimates. Blazing Angel has to reset here on the side of the attackers, which is going to extend the reset period for Frost. As well as your tanks effectively haven't been able to do enough on this push so far. So they're lacking in terms of ultimate charge that they've generated from just that one push. On the opposite side, for the defending Lux, they've nearly got those tank ultimates. And honestly, I look at those tank ultimates and I'm like, Supercharger and Gravitic Flux, those are so much more powerful than what Frost is going to be able to offer. However, what's also powerful is the Xeno in the skies managed to take out Han before the barrier is actually erected there. Visor coming out as well onto the high ground does... Oh, that's an elimination on the Mugly. That's absolutely brutal for the defender. So in both supports out of the fight means that it's time to engage on the objective. A Xeno is going to do exactly that, lobbing the barrage out and finding the final blow onto Ryuka. This is a point capture for Frost.
Lux just had their supports a little too displaced. Simple as that. I mean, the second that they found him, Frost was able to capitalize and take him down immediately, and now it's 3:45, and all Frost has to do is get one single tick. Crispy on the verge of getting that Gravitic Flux. Ryuka Sim has a barrage available. Mugly Wumps has the Valk too. There's a lot of tools available to be used right now. Shatter and the self-destruct is almost there too for the side of Frost, and those both are great ultimates for making some space. Yes, even on this top ground for Hanamura, I think that Frost's offense can have such an easier time getting at least a little bit more on point as opposed to Lux. Stafftron trying to get a little bit of cheeky damage, maybe in a pick real quick, but Ryuka Sim is the one to get the first pick in the fight. Will get taken down very quickly, but it's Lux available to deal the finishing blows to the remaining members of Frost, and just like that, before the fight's really even started, it's cut short.
I'm saying just stand still for a second, Mugly, so that I can actually hit you with one of these nades. And actually, that's a mark of really good Baptiste players as well. Just on a side note, is knowing when to go for that splash damage versus when to put in that extra effort to land that body shot. For now, the concern from Han is just making sure that they're connecting those healing grenades so that they can get that next amplification matrix up. That's such a team fight swinging ultimate and a really good space maker as well. Tenrek, you know how easy it is to hold on the second objective, and so we might be seeing that, but in the presence of really overwhelming damage onto Ryuka, it's going to force a misposition, I think, from Mugly, and also an engagement from Stafftron. So that's actually really good peel and might extend the amount of time that we have to work with if we're the defending Lux.
Yeah, that continued engagement from both Xeno and Scarrow onto Ryuka Sim mitigates a lot of the potential damage that could be done before the fight really starts, but at the same time, it leaves the rest of your team open to the remaining members of Lux Esports. If you're committing so much of your time and space to the damage against this one member, there's gonna be another trade inbound. Speaking of trades, both Farers are down for the moment. Blazing Angel is the first to go down, though, too, and Frost Esports is already at such a bad point right now. But Brown's fan with the Nano is going crazy, and Scarrow with the follow-up with the Visor! Almost no one's on point from the side of Lux right now. Tankity Tank has to dive down early. Scarrow still on the front line, able to do all the damage necessary. It's just Stafftron trying to take a couple more hits, but there isn't enough help. 4 personnel left. Frost Nova takes map 3 just like that with 1 tick. 3-1. They are now even in the standing.
That's going to be the series as well. Oh wait, no. Yeah, no, that's it. That was the last map here in the regular season for both of these teams. That's and here's play of the game as well from Xeno. Really nice barrage there. Beautiful shatter as well. Like I said, that was really the linchpin there, making sure that there was no one who could confront a Xeno's barrage. It's unfortunate for Lux, not able to pick up a win during the regular season, but that doesn't mean that they're out. We still will be able to see both of these teams in the playoffs, and so that will be really exciting if they play against each other. If they play against any of these other teams, perhaps Frost Nova gets their rematch against or another match against Tempest Typhoon and pick up another win there, eliminate that number 3 seed, which would be pretty big, honestly. But enough looking forward. We're just going to have to take a look at this series as a whole so far and figure out, Tenrek, I mean, so many great players on both of these squads, but for me, really the one who stood out for Frost Nova it had to have been a Xeno.
I'm gonna go for a bit of a spin here, and yeah, we will get a Xeno online for an interview as well. I mean, the display on that was absolutely terrific. Honestly, the synergy from that team on that last push was really a great display. Everyone really working together. The Shatter came out, the charge with the Nano on. It was Scarrow in the back line doing extra damage on the way. I mean, everybody really played their part in that last fight. And for my money, honestly, my MVP has got to be Cabo Dozer. The continued healing, the easy nano farming, the biotic grenades on those defenses, and man, the sleeps. The sleeps were so
Yeah.
crucial in so many of those moments. I mean, especially on Gibraltar, you can't count out both of those Bob sleeps that really stopped a lot of the board clearing that Lux was intending on doing for both of those fights. I really do think that Cabo did so much work as a support there, but really it was such a great team effort for Frost Nova and Lux Nova for that matter. I think the tanks on Lux and the supports as well, and especially the deeps as the match rounded out, I think everybody really played to their strengths a lot of the time. And in Hanamura, we really got to see everyone's best.
It's so hard to pick just one player in a matchup like this. I totally agree with you. And I actually did forget about Kabadozer on Hanamura, finding there were two fights in particular where they actually had found two final blows there. So, we'll just have to deliberate on that. Don't go anywhere. When we come back from the break, you'll figure out who our MVP candidate is in the form of an interview with them as well. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We baited you a little bit, talked about a Xeno's DPS prowess that was demonstrated in this series. Frost Nova winning 3-1 against Lux, and a really good, invigorating series that we got to watch tonight. But if there's anything that really brings some life to me, it's watching some good support gameplay. That's exactly what we got to see from Cabo, our support player for Frost Nova. Congratulations, Cabo, on your MVP status for tonight's series. How are you feeling after this match?
Yes, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. I kind of got to admit, supports do go a little bit unnoticed
Yeah.
as a support main myself. But yeah, I'm very pleased with how the match went. Um, we gave it our all. They had some really good fights. We had some close maps there, but a couple ultimates in the end is all you need.
One of the
Yeah, that's.
things.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead. Go ahead, Tenrek.
sorry. No, I just wanted to know. So one of the things we got to talk about a lot during a lot of these fights, and as you said, everybody really had their moments, was how everybody played patience. When it was time to clear the board, when it was time to move in, when it was time to disengage, when it was time to try and go for some picks. How do you think Frost Nova really effectively managed the flow of each fight and knew when to be patient and when to be in?
Definitely. Well, a couple things that really helped us are that everyone on the team kind of tries to ult track the best we can. So we see what ults can counter their ults on our side and vice versa. If we need to use ults in the fight, if we should try to just do a dry fight. We kind of all talk around a little bit here. And then if we know that they don't have a lot of ults, or if we assume they don't have a lot of ults, we might play a little bit patient, trying to see how they're going to come at us, so that maybe we can try to counter that a little better, pick off their supports, just however the situation appears, we try to handle it the best we can, depending on what we think will happen and what we see happening at the very moment.
Yeah, that's a really good point talking about the flexibility. And in that vein, we got to see a lot of a couple of different styles emerge from Frost Nova tonight in terms of
Mm-hmm.
compositions and strategy. These quick and more tempered engagements that Tenrek mentions, and you also mentioned, in the end, it's just a couple of ultimates that are needed. So in terms of all of that, what is kind of your favorite look to approach for Frost Nova? What's the composition that you feel you fit into place the most in?
Well, that's a really good question. As a team, we definitely play a couple different comps. Try to play to our individual players' strengths, and trying to see what we synergize with best. But I definitely love running down the enemy team, the opposing team, with Lucio, Ryan, stuff like that. Just kind of getting in their faces, getting dirty.
Okay.
But also the comp we played tonight is very enjoyable. Kind of a little bit more technical. You get to kind of explore the more technical aspect of the game, the more detailed aspects of it. So a little bit of everything is always fun.
We
That's a
saw
that's a fair answer. Yeah.
we saw so many important fights where a lot of Frost Nova's tactics involved just waiting things out until the rest of the members arrived, and you guys definitely arrived. Usually being able to pop an ult the second you got back, or being able to just come back with a totally non-staggered team and win out a fight against a sort of Swiss cheesed Lux Nova, if you will. And a lot of that I have to attribute to your ability to just stay alive in that backline at nearly all times. How do you think you got? How do you think you got away with it so many times?
Well, first, I appreciate the kind words. It's that's hard to do. Definitely just playing a lot with Ana, honestly, working on sleeping, working on saving your antis, kind of baiting out the whoever's diving you. Like if Diva dives you, you punch to make it look like you're using a sleep, then they DM. When their DM's down, then you sleep. A little bit of tiny tips and tricks there for my Ana players who are watching. Um, can't give away too many tips though, Gotta keep it a little secret, keep
Those
my
trade
tactics
secrets.
alive. Yep. But just you kind of got to fight for your own there. It's a lot of experience that goes into that.
I hate getting baited by those animations there. The Roadhog goes for the melee instead of the hook, so you
Yep.
juke them, and then you end up getting a face full of shrapnel there. So that's a really good trick to employ against one's enemies. And speaking of enemies, is there any particular team that you want to see? We have one more week of the regular season, and is there after that? Is there any team that you would like to confront in the playoffs and pick up that quick win and then continue on your way towards that final first place?
Hmm. Well, there's been a lot of great competition in the past couple of weeks. Definitely had some tough fights. Definitely had some enjoyable matches. Tempest Typhoon was a great team we played against. Had some great maps against them. And Kaiju Core Clover, they're a great team as well. Definitely know what they're doing. Those would be a little tough, I might imagine, but
Yeah.
always good getting some extra experience. Never can hurt anyone.
So at this point, we'll just take any team. We just like the competition. We're just here to play the
Yeah.
game.
We just want to pop some ults and shoot some guns and see what happens.
You guys did that pretty well tonight, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on, Cabo. Thank you so much. It
I
was an
appreciate you
absolute
all.
pleasure to watch you and the rest of your team play it out. Are there any socials or things you want to promote where people can reach you?
Yes, I would. Agent D000. That's 3 zeros. Agent Do on Twitch, Twitter. I have other accounts, but I don't use them. Check me out. I try to stream Overwatch. It's very laggy. I'm doing some puzzle games, doing some fun stuff here coming up shortly. So check me out there. Other than that, I mean, again, thank you very much, Prod. I love this the support, the appreciation. Yeah, and great work.
Huh.
I
No,
don't know
great
the
work
word.
to you, Cabo.
Casting tonight. There we
Very
go.
no, very very good gameplay. Casting is always easy if you've got something that's really exciting to watch, and that's exactly what we got this evening. Thanks for joining us, Cabo. Again, congratulations to you as MVP of
Thank you.
tonight's series, and pass our kudos on to the rest of the squad as well. Frost Nova is an absolute blast to watch.
Will do. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, Cabo.
Same to you all.
And Tenrek, that's all we've got.
Yeah.
You heard me before the series started, before we went live. I was like, Game 5. This is going to be Game 5. And we didn't quite make it there. We got as close as we could. Yeah,
We
and
got very,
it
very
close.
close.
But that is going to be all the Overwatch here this evening. If you do want to see more, you definitely want to hit that follow button so you can be notified of when we go live with other matches. Like I said, we got one more week of the regular season that we'll be launching into the playoffs of the Hyperion Invitational. Should be a lot of fun.
Make sure to follow the Twitter and join the Discord too if you want even faster information and to get to interact with everybody who gets to work and play here at the organization. It's a really fun time, guys. Please consider joining.
All of these little communities are so much fun to be a part of. That's what I'm learning
Agreed.
as I'm
Oh,
getting
yeah.
into all of these areas. But for you guys, I've been Lord Ethan, joined by none other than Tenrek here, and you guys have a spectacular rest of the evening.